So just here, there's a couple of items that we've reported on: technology investment, enrollment changes, summer programming, access and equity policy, legal expenses, and transportation updates. We're also looking at a few other areas: energy usage, copiers and paper usage, and what technology, what the impact has been with that, as well as a few other areas that you'll be hearing about as the budget development takes place. Just real fast on each of the topics: technology investment, a lot of expansion that we've done in the technology area. You'll see that there's an increase in the request for technology. Part of this is based on the support of the technology that we've added. It's also the technology department has expanded, taking over the purchase of educational software. So there is a big bump there. Part of that is offsetting what used to be under the media and technology area. I'm just reporting back, last year we did add additional tech support on staff. We've had positive feedback about that, so we will be looking at that and likely continuing it going into next year's budget. But we did get very positive feedback about having the additional support at the building level. Enrollment changes that are here, it looks at the demographers numbers, where our actuals came into the projections. We're still waiting for the final demographers numbers. We should have them next month. But you'll see that this year it was 100% on for the total district enrollment, projected 6,880 students. We reported on the ASSA on October 15th, 6,880 students. The discrepancies, though, were a little wider than what we've seen in the past in terms of the grade level. Again, our kindergarten enrollment numbers just keep exceeding the numbers that we anticipate seeing. Last year, based on just the increases we had seen over the past 2 years, had even bumped up their projections above where we normally would have put them based on the normal 5 to 6 year analysis we do, and still they far surpassed what we anticipated. Major implications there in terms of our elementary enrollment, where things are going to go over the next couple of years. Looking again at our space, as we've suggested in the past, we really need to look at the full capacity of the buildings compared to the enrollments that we're seeing. We will, if they continue as they are, we'll see a number more of our elementary schools with numbers over 600 in enrollment. Fluctuations between different buildings, some having over 600, some then starting to reduce down under 500. So we really need to look at the composition, as we discussed last year. The Seth Boyden area, just looking at the percentage increases in the free and reduced lunch there. Is that something we want to consider? Do we want to put more support there in the budget, or do we want to look at redistricting so that there's a more even spread from building to building? So continue discussions about what that impact would be. A lot of details that are there. I'm not going to go into each of them. Summer programming, information there, just reiterating things we've done in the past, and again, an emphasis both in the summer programming and in general in our budget development about the access and equity policy and how it's going to impact programming. Not just looking at academic supports, but looking at emotional supports as well. Discussions had come up last year at the end of the year with about having extra support for students on the emotional side, having extra support from guidance you've heard about in order to help support people in making decisions with the open access policy. So all of these things are being considered. There also is a very brief analysis there of legal expenses. We look every year. It was back 2002, 2003 that we brought in in-house legal counsel. So it looks at the different numbers of what we were paying to outside counsel in that baseline year versus what we've been seeing year after year. And you'll see major fluctuations. It's an area that we don't have a lot of control over. Oftentimes it's luck that helps us have a good year, and it might be bad luck the year that we have just more cases. We have seen an increase in cases. It's something we're looking at. This really looks at our overall expenses, not the results of the settlements. We are doing an in-depth analysis of the settlements that we've had in the past couple of years to see if there's trends and things that we could do to try to curtail those kinds of cases coming in front of us again. And the final part that's here is a transportation update. It looks at all the different components of the transportation department. Transportation does make up a fairly substantial portion of our budget. Almost 5% of the budget is on transportation. You have information here about the kinds of transportation we're doing. Looks very carefully at what's considered courtesy busing and what the cost would be if we decided not to have courtesy busing and the number of students that would be impacted by that. It also looks at the pros and cons of servicing the transportation with our own staff versus contracted staff, and looks at the different numbers for non-public school transportation, just to give you an idea of where the costs are with that. The other thing that's in here is about subscription busing. If for some reason we decided to reduce the amount of courtesy busing, there's a very brief description of what subscription busing is in case that's a consideration we wanted to look at. So a lot of information there, still more to come.